Welcome to part 15 of the Metasploit Mega Primer. Hope you guys enjoyed part 14. In this video, we will look at exploring auxiliary modules in Metasploit. So, as we've looked at previously, auxiliary modules are not exploits, but they help in doing a variety of tasks which are beneficial during a pen test. Examples of that include scanning for hosts, discovering configurations in different services, discovering misconfigurations, DOS attacks, and a ton of other things. There are over 300 modules available in the auxiliary category, which is quite large. This includes scanners, fuzzers, DOS tools, and a lot of more. So the basic idea is to explore all these different modules and to look at what they do. Now, as you can imagine, it is probably not feasible to explore all the different 301 auxiliary modules. This is where we'll probably go ahead, look at a couple of them, and I'll leave it as an exercise for you to explore the rest. So there are tons of auxiliary modules and they have been categorized into different heads. So for example, DOS is basically auxiliary modules which are capable of doing a DOS attack. And then you have fuzzers, which, as you probably understand from the name itself, are actually used for fuzzing different target services and other things. Gather is of course about gathering information. I've already demonstrated gather DNS_enum in one of the previous videos. Email collector collects emails for a given domain by using search engines. So tons of these are available. What we'll do is we'll look at a couple of them. So scanners is a very important category, and what we will look at first is a subcategory of that called port scanners, right? Tons of modules. So let's pick up scanner, and let's say we actually want a port scanner, and what we will use is a simple TCP scan, which is a connect scan. Let's look at the options. We need to set the remote host, which probably we'll set to one of these boxes. So the IP address is 1.200. Let's just ensure we have access to this. Seems like we do. So we go ahead and set our host to 192.168.1.200, right? And I think everything else is fine by default. Probably we can just set verbose to true, and then we go ahead and run the auxiliary module. Probably wait for a bit. See a lot of activity. I think because we've enabled the verbose mode, we are seeing tons of activity here. And let's wait. We've probably told it to look till the first 10,000 ports, and if you notice, it's just raising past different port numbers. Right, just wait. It's still the first 10,000 ports. Should not take a lot of time. It's probably scanning something like 100 ports a second. It's pretty good. Right, so I think there's probably too much of data here. We should maybe go ahead and turn verbose off. And probably let's do it for a smaller set so that we can actually see some useful results, probably for the first 200 ports, right? Okay. Now this is much more useful result where we can only see the open ports and the port number, right? So it looks like web server is actually open on the remote host, a couple of other interesting services, right? So let's now look at another interesting auxiliary module. Let me see what we can find. By the way, you also have a couple of Wi-Fi modules which are capable of doing DAuth attacks, etc. But I guess you need the right card and drivers to ensure that you can do packet injection over wireless. Right, so one of the other interesting things would be actually to do an ARP scan on the entire network to figure out the hosts which are up. So let's go ahead, select the ARP sweep. Look at the options. Well, what we have to go ahead and feed it is the hosts. Let's go ahead and actually give it the entire subnet. We have to set, sorry. Let's quickly look at what our IP address is. Source host would be equal to our IP address. Now, if you're on the same subnet and you can sniff other machines' packets, you could also mention this as some other machine's IP address, right? You also need a source MAC. Quickly running the ifconfig command would give us the source MAC. Let's see if we filled up all the options. Looks like, let's run it. And now it very quickly does an ARP scan on the entire network and tells us which hosts are up. Awesome. Right? Pretty good. Let's look at one more. So again, look at scanners, probably in this time NetBIOS. NB name would be interesting. See the options. Go ahead and set the range. Oops. Right. Let's go ahead and try it for the entire range. See what happens. And I think we should just run it. Probably let's increase the number of threads, somewhere around 10. And let's run this and see what's happening. Awesome, that was quite fast. So the first machine is 1.7 called Vivek-PC. Second machine is 1.200 called security-JXAF3R, so on and so forth. 232, I think this is a domain controller. And we have a lot of interesting information about the window name and etc. Right? Awesome. So I think I'll probably leave auxiliary modules here. One of the other interesting ones, I think, which we've already demonstrated and used it a lot of times, is the browser autobahn one, right? If you remember. So I think the whole idea about auxiliary modules is a couple of tasks, generally peripheral tasks, which aid in the pen test, information gathering, scanning, figure out more things about the service, etc. Auxiliary modules have a ton of scripts available, which you should definitely look at and go through, so that you know that even many of these tasks you can easily do using Metasploit. Well, that's all for this video. In the next one, we will look at the pass the hash attack. So please let me know your feedback about the current video. Really looking forward to your comments. Thank you. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.